buddy.
Oh god, I don't want to be in Butcher's head.
You do not realize what my intelligence is? It's probably just the Pina Colada song on loop 24/7.
Thankfully, it's not passively hearing what you say. But yeah,
so to pause being broadcast either.
With my because I am taking a psionic class for my rogue. Because not enough people do Soul Knife, okay? It needs some love.
It's epic. It is. I've seen it in Tomb of Annihilation. I ran just the dungeon at the end.
Oh, yeah.
It also a few characters got away, but they got away the best.
Yeah.
At the end.
But she can mind link. Yep. So that's gonna be fun. Within a mile.
I know exactly what my favorite part of my level up is.
Of course you do.
Dora's coming to play.
Yay!
Yep. Level 3 I guess for me it would be the meta magic, which I need to take a look at to see how that works. Because first time playing a sorcerer, so I need to understand what I'm going to do with that. On the cleric level, it is very sleepy. It's just like, and we're gonna up this a little bit.
Honestly, on my bard, like going College of Whispers, like it's good, but also it's you get some fun for roleplay things, but just at 3, not so much in the way of like really impactful, awesome, extra things.
I think if it was Whisper Bard, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, what type of bard are you?
College of Whispers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The 6th or 9th level it is the like power move out of that subclass, where you can just like start wearing faces like fucking Arya Stark. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Which leans into her whole vibe so much anyway. Because y'all don't even know what she looks like.
But we're getting this 3rd level right as like the blister is popping and like this magic shit is going on. Which
I want to know what's going on with the blister.
Well, I was laughing because you guys know I took the Rune Knight and the Wild Magic Barbarian, and all in all, like my systems run on this like magic technology. So I think it lines up perfectly that as the shit starts popping off, all of a sudden my stuff goes haywire and I get this new abilities and the Rune Magic and the Wild Magic. It's like, oh yeah, this surge of energy has now pushed through and like, yeah, I got more powerful, but also all this magic stuff that's happening is almost consequential of the things in the world.
Yeah.
That would actually be...
Wait,
Go ahead.
which fighter did you go with?
Rune Knight.
Ooh, okay. That's right. I remember.
They're so fun.
It is so cool.
I am just thinking about the in-game role-playing that's going to happen when Eldaris is randomly just going to get the assault in his brain of, aha, now I can do it too.
It's like, all of a sudden out of nowhere, it's just going to be like, I've been watching you.
Give me a deception roll.
Be careful, you don't know what he'll do in response.
That's what we're hoping for. Let's go. Chaos, baby. Chaos. But not the bad kind of chaos. The good kind.
I had another question for everyone. How are y'all feeling about this NPC web technique? I mean, we haven't used all the NPCs yet.
Yeah.
Which I'm thankful for. I was worried we were going to have to throw them all out there in the first 2 or 3 sessions.
I mean, for me, like I said, it really did help give us all some even ground without it feeling super forced of like, oh, well, you all know each other. Like, no, we don't. But we have a few people in common, so we're like, don't I know you from somewhere? And that kind of a thing. And it I think that it helped really strengthen bonds quickly in a way that felt very organic and natural versus you meet in a tavern and then you go on a quest or something is attacked and you have to immediately bond together and then bam, you're a group. It's like we have developed a bit of closeness without it feeling artificial, which I think some groups really struggle with.
Mm-hmm. And y'all met at taverns.
That's true.
Multiple. We're all bar dwellers. It's great.
As a function for like gameplay and session zeros and stuff, I'm definitely on board with it. Like that for long campaigns that people are setting up. I would definitely say highly recommend.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff about being able to pull people together. Also, it gives DM NPCs to work with to help kind of populate the world a little bit. Like, it made it feel like there was day-to-day happenings that were going on before we came into the game. Like, they talk about a living world or a full setting or something. I think it helped with that.
I like how it can.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I like that it got me thinking a lot more about my character too. Because I think it's like, here's my character, here's all their likes and dislikes and everything. I know them inside and out. Okay, here's the curveball. How do you know basically a walking jukebox? Oh, how do you know how do you know an underling in a mercenary group? And just having to think like, oh, how do I know these people? Where would I come across them? What would my interaction with them be? And then that made me have to develop my character more. And at least for me, I like, because I have this whole duality thing going with my character. I like that I could kind of go in both sides, where it's like, this is the fun-loving side because he used to hang out with Ibukari and he would know the bars, and here's a performer who's performing, so he'd get to know them. Yep. Here's a business person. Here's a mercenary who might have had a run-in with something that he didn't understand and gave Eldaris a lead. Okay, great. Now I could kind of play both of them off, and I think it's fun. It's going to be fun to see more of the characters come in. Where I know Axton, we've seen Axton, who is Butcher's NPC, but I know once just telling me about the pimple that's about to pop and just having his session time with me. But it would be great in the world where it's like him at the bar, like walking the bar and just seeing me chat with his boss, basically, about random nonsense. And I know Genre and me have one character that links together. My other NPC, who it's going to be very fun to watch Eldaris again, just kind of squirm a little bit as he's resisting some of his more baser impulses.
Captain Mensef.
Yeah.
I have notes.
That's the other good thing about this campaign. It made me get to use one of my lovely notebooks.
I have plenty of lovely notebooks.
That's
I got this one specific and everything, and I take notes every session. They're not good notes, but they're notes.
Funny enough, so I was on, and the only reason I say this is because I know we're coming up on a year of the planning of this at the very least. At least when I was involved. Because I remember sitting at a casino buffet in Atlantic City with my family when I opened Discord and got a message, hey, we have a campaign idea that we want to stream and we want you in it. And then I got this for my birthday. And once I got it, I'm like, so if, I don't know if anyone could see, it's zodiac and stars. It's like, oh, this is perfect for a notebook for this campaign. With the character who's got his head in space, like got that spacey element. This is wonderful. So I like that the campaign is making you want to take more notes. And like, wait a minute, I gotta write that down because that's going to be important later. Rook likes loud music. Okay, that's going to be vital later because we're going to run into the puzzle where I'm going to need to remember that.
Yeah.
I'm just using it as like an example.
I'm not gonna lie, I also have like a small black notebook, like just a regular one. I've actually shown Groupie it before. I write in it in character. It is in game. It is Butcher's notebook. It's full of notes. It has characters' numbers in it, like their contact numbers. It has little things about my augmentations and their serial numbers. It has diagrams, drawings. I like write down how many people that I killed that day. Just like little things that I feel like Butcher would write and like say and do in this, and like it has notes about like there's a crossed out list. It's like, oh, my beneficiary, if you find this, bring it to, and then it's like the 2 ex-wife names crossed out, and then it has Gage at the bottom. It's just like little things like that. I feel like it makes it. I'm terrible about taking like the notes in the campaign, but like as we're sitting there talking, like I have notes that I want to put into the notebook of like the opponents that I was going to go against, and like little tag notes of strategies that Butcher would use to fight somebody like this with his history. And it's like, I've decided that if Butcher ever does die in this, like that notebook is what's going to get passed on, and that's all the information that I'll use for whatever character happens to find it or gets used or next or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. And Spencer, do you have any idea or any thoughts any more to add to the idea of the NPC web?
No, so I mean,
we haven't really explored yours too far yet, but
yeah. So like, I mean, we met Gage and we talked before some of the others got in here about bringing Gage in more for maybe some augmentations as I level up, and possibly getting her into Woodrow's shop so that she can be more present. I know Axton is in there. I have a feeling now that the pimple has popped, so to speak, that there's the opportunity to run into the Red Suns, which would be really cool to see the old mercenary band running in there, and like you guys to see a different side of Butcher, like the boys. And like obviously, like we didn't put them on the NPC web, but we did talk about a location, which is Marcus's shop. And I think that as we get into higher level and we start to get the money, like what's coming out of this fight and the bets that Woodrow has made, I feel like that would be a fun one to get some more opportunities for different gear, or even just like pieces of equipment that could be useful or hard to define.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely want to get around to Marcus's place at some point. He has come up several times, and I've almost reached one of my first goals for something to be built. So that's definitely on a to-do list.
Plus, I intentionally wrote down that he has a Russian accent, and I want to hear George's Russian accent. I'm so excited.
Well, those that have played in my Cursive Strat have heard multiple variations of it.
No, I love it though. I love the NPC web. I mean, having what's his name, Yeshua. So that like the second me and Groupie sat down and we started talking about a job, and then it's like, oh yeah, I know this runner, and then like it was a moment of connection of, oh, these are my people.
Yep.
I think
and also again, I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say again, big thank you to Sean the Gamer Boy, who came up with the NPC web and posted on TikTok. I think he has another name on there now. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah. Just wanted to give him props for the idea.
So on the tail end of that question about the NPC web, does anybody have a favorite NPC?
The jukebox. I love Theo. He's been hilarious.
I gotta go with Dio too, because he's the person who I've interacted with the most in terms of the NPC web. I know there's oh god, I can't I wrote it down. I have to check my notes. One of the NPCs does not trust Eldaris, which is very amusing to Jim the player. And it's like, I wonder why. Because now, as a player, it's like, is it because this person had a bad run-in with my religious order? Is it because they know something about me? Like, what is it that's a lot of fun. So I can't wait to explore that. And yeah, just having Dio, I think, just being so earnest about, I want to perform and just, I don't know how to do it. And I almost caught myself, just credit to our wonderful DM. I almost caught myself going to do the voice that you do for him, because it is one of the more endearing, like, just, it's an endearing voice to me to have for him. So, yeah, right now it's Dio, but that could change when we get other characters kind of interacting more with everybody.
My favorite thus far is Aramis.
Aramis is fun.
I don't need to explain why. You know why.
Aramis is pretty fun.
Yeah.
I came up with a question because it was totally a boilerplate question. I almost decided to throw a little bit of shade and say Nero was my favorite NPC.
You went ahead and did it.
Yeah, a little bit. But as far as the NPCs go, I think that all of the villains have been very well placed throughout. They're all a little intimidating, and they're all like, we're running into them, I think, as much as plot devices as people. It is why they are probably my favorite NPCs right now. Because I'm also waiting to see them all at each other's throats, because I kind of feel like that's going to be a thing.
Honestly, speaking of that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to give y'all a hint, but of coming stuff, but no, go for it.
Honestly, though, shouts out to Randy. Absolutely hilarious, especially after I showed that interest in that one. What was it? The leader who could absolutely whip Butcher's ass. If it wasn't for the absolute terrible hygiene speaking in my face, Butcher would have been head over heels for Randy, and that's a fact, Jack.
I love it. I had some more specific questions, like Red, for the performing. How are you feeling about that? How engaged do you feel when performing as a player and a character?
I've really enjoyed it. I think I felt fairly engaged. I feel like, I get to, it's fun to get to describe how things go. And thus far, I have been fortunate with the roles kind of complementing my build-up. But yeah, like I've really enjoyed that aspect of it, and it's, I think it's one thing that a lot of bards don't necessarily get to do in games is actually perform in front of people and earn coin that way. Normally they're, doing things and maybe smaller scales and stuff like that. But the fact that she kind of has her, that stage presence and has people that are like, yeah, you need to come play, at our tavern and things like that. It's fun to not have to work as hard for it, but then to get to act it out and do that is fun for me.
Cool. Yeah, I was trying to think more ways to develop it again as you level as well.
Yeah.
I definitely think like some sort of rock off at some point has to happen.
Yeah.
Where it's back and forth.
Now I'm just imagining. I'm just imagining Guitar Hero 3. I don't know if anyone remembers that game.
Oh yeah.
I see some tenacious NPCs. I'm gonna lose it.
Battle of the Bands. Let's go.
Vecna went down to Basetown. He was looking for some stolds to steal. I could just.
Oh yeah.
I could see it happening.
Okay, another one I have for everybody, if no one else has anything right now, is there is a really strong avoidance of the magical cyst. What could ever be your reason?
Going on though, there's just been other stuff happening, and it's like we've got all these, like, we had a missing person, we had a safe, and then it's like, oh, there's this big bubbly cyst. Like,
I can't deal with that. I've got a show tonight.
Yeah,
This way.
we got fights to fight.
Like,
we got
something is wrong in Basetown. Oh my goodness! Whatever will we do? Nothing has ever been wrong in Basetown ever.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I just, you putting out hooks for players to grab.
And we're just ignoring them, and it's fine.
I tried. To my credit, I tried to mention, hey, we have an opportunity to make more money. Oh, by the way, that also is going to have to come after we figure out how we're going to pay the people to get Ibukari's mine back after everybody shows. And isn't there a bank because people want money and to fund their own personal projects? Oh, wait, the zip popped?
Huh.
Oh.
Gross.
So, I
It wasn't necessarily avoidance.
Definitely think that the fact that was going on in the background was a top tier running gag.
Oh yeah. It became that very quickly.
I mean, hell, I even asked Coolidge about it. I'm like, oh, hey, you know what's going on at Grove Opal? Just get an update. I'm not going there or anything, but I wanted to know.
Honestly, I was just we talked about it like once, and then we were like, oh yeah, Bob, we should definitely look into that. And then like Ibukari showed up, and we're like, oh cool, this is what we're focusing on. And it totally just never came back. Like it was a thought for like 2 or 3 sessions. Like, hey, we should probably also check this out. Oh well, this happened, and then we kept following the line with the hook, and it was like, well, we're already stuck on this hook. Let's follow the line all the way through. And then it's like, oh, it's a ping pong, and we're like, oh shit, probably should have invested a little bit of time.
What is more concerning in the moment? In Grove Opal, there is a pimple that has now popped, or hi, we just finished this performance and the person's head popped right in front of our faces.
Yeah.
I want to go to Grove Opal. Like, the player me wants to do it. I want to find out what this thing is. The character Eldaris is just like, can I think my next, it's like actually being a therapist. I got an appointment in 2 weeks because I'm booked every other day.
I also kind of like the idea of we let it go for too long, and now it's gotten worse. And I kind of want to see like how long we can keep ignoring it to see like if it spreads and like how much havoc it can fucking. Well, maybe not as a zit. I saw that face.
I'm just seeing pus spreading through this. No.
Well, I know that's super gross, but I wanted the full kind of juxtaposition of this manufactured town, this huge, gigantic city, versus this very natural but disgusting growth.
I think that's part of the fun of it too, because everything is so tech heavy.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like, one of the things that has been funny enough stuck in my head since the last time is an offhanded comment Butcher made about when they're just talking about Eldaris's prosthetic. It's like, wait, are you using the right, like, where just that having, where Eldaris has a mindset of like, I have tech but I'm not attached to it, versus welcome to the world of tech. where it's almost looked upon like, wait, you have an arm. Okay, so what does it do? Does it have cannons in it? Does it have sonic booms? What does it do? I can lift things up and I could put them down with it.
Yep. It's an arm.
It's an arm. And it does its job. And the fact that he's looked at like he's got 7 heads because of that, like, which I think would probably be more normal than that in some places here.
So that is a great answer to one of the other questions that I had come up with. Favorite piece of flavor, because this is a unique setting that George has been able to put together for us. But favorite piece of flavor either on another character or from the setting. Oh, that stumped him.
I honestly think for me,
I have to pick one.
Mine is the dichotomy between Butcher being like a 90% fucking metal man who's just embraced it, beyond all reason, and Eldaris with his one metal arm that is uncomfortable and, it is what it is. I think I like that because, in a setting where it is so tech heavy, in a setting where, everyone's got something, it's like there's still those people that either go whole hog and what on them is left that is organic, or, the people that, like, I mean, Rook doesn't have any cybernetics, at least at this point. So it's like there's people that are fully organic as well.
Oh, what was the question again? Sorry.
Favorite bit of flavor, either on one of the characters or from the setting. Something that you didn't come up with that came up, or somebody did that was like, oh wow, that was a great way to play it.
In terms of just pure humor, I think Duck is still one of my favorites.
Jump! It's Gnomish for duck.
Just that is, I still think that's hilarious. But yeah, I love the setting, the settings dichotomy in sense of like everything is tech, everything is magic, and knowing how, which we haven't explored yet. Spoiler, I think we're gonna have to. Just the view of actual magic within the society. Like, here is magic we cannot control. Here is what we do to that. Again, heavy, maybe perhaps background spoilers for Eldaris, but it's, hey, you didn't study tech to learn your trades. You're not working within the arc. You're a sorcerer. You are the epitome of natural magic just occurring. Everything runs on magic, but we can't control that. And just what happens to or happened to them is just I took that line when I got the background information in the world, and I was like a running back on a pro football team. I'm like, that's what drives Eldaris. The fact that he has been singled out.
Honestly, speaking of like Eldaris and Butcher and like the dichotomy between the two, I think a lot of differences in like how we view our prosthetics has to do with the history behind them. Like, I'm obviously not going to speak on Eldaris' background, but what we know, it wasn't exactly a consensual or non-traumatic event that led to his cybernetics. So it's like, his magic is inherent. He doesn't need it. He's already a part of this natural world. Whereas Butcher, and we haven't gotten into Butcher's background either, but, like, you can tell his cybernetics, they were a means of success. Like, every single nut, bolt, and piece of scrap metal attached to Butcher was a fight won, was a success in his book. Like, it is how he made his trade. It is how he got to the point where he is and lived to have gray hair in a place where young men die. So it's like, it's hard for, I think, Butcher to recognize that that's not how people always view these enhancements. They're not, because for him, that's his life. That's everything he worked towards. That's where every spare cent went to. Versus for Eldaris, it's definitely not that.
And just to kind of pick that up, because because of that last conversation, now you have Eldaris thinking, I have this thing anyway. What can I do to make it more useful considering what's about to happen? Is it as simple as, hey, how do you put bullets in this? To which everyone's like, what do you mean bullets? We can give you...
Also funny is that we talked about, like, the maintenance of it. Like, Butcher oils his and, you know, shines his. Like, he's in there basically every night making sure that it's well oiled, because it's a piece of machinery that he puts to its limit. Versus Eldaris is like, yeah, I wipe it down with a rag every once in a while. Wait, you need to add fluid? It's like...
I'll spoil it, because it's not... It's like, if you look at it, / when you look at Eldaris' prosthetic closely, it's maintained about as well as a modern prosthetic would be. But it's not... There's no special care behind it. And again, there's reasons Eldaris doesn't... Like we're saying, it's not the best reason Eldaris has it. It's why he's so sensitive about it. He takes care of it because if I don't take... Yeah, I think the way I kind of equated it was, it's the difference between somebody who has a car that he needs to get to work every day and somebody who is going to car shows regularly. I need to make sure mine is purely just working. It's working, the check engine light is not on, and it's getting me from point A to point B. Okay, great. Versus, I need to make sure everything is in pristine detail. The slightest smudge on the dashboard is not acceptable. And I think it's going to be fun to explore that more, too, where maybe Butcher starts, like, when Eldaris explains how he lost his arm, it's like, here's why I'm not as in love with it, and Eldaris saying, okay, guys, group powwow. What can we do to this arm within reason to make it cooler?
This is when we get to chapter 4. I'm calling Real World Lowtown. It's probably a joke that's too old at this point.
I know it.
By the way, my favorite piece of flavor is bicock.
Honestly. No, I do think that you work, Eldaris sort of working more on his stuff is going to bring us closer, because I feel like Eldaris and Butcher are probably the two that have the least connection. Like, everybody sort of has their own, like, inside jokes with everybody, and it's not because, like, we're not close. It's because Butcher, like we said, Butcher and Eldaris are sort of dichotomically opposed. There's not really a whole lot of common ground mixing between those two.
You know what I think is interesting is that, but also Woodrow and Rook have sort of a flip side of the coin kind of thing, where you both use aliases, right? But for totally different reasons, right? Like, you want fame, he doesn't want to be known at all.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I have like a thing that, like, I wanted to ask everybody. So, like, this stemmed from something about Butcher himself, where it's like, you know, I have the metal arm, which is always shown, and that my other arm almost always has its sleeve down, so nobody has seen them yet. But Butcher's arm and back and a majority of his chest are covered in tattoos, and it's just like, I wondered if anybody else had anything, like, you know, about their character is like, oh, I made this, and it's an intentional part that sort of, I feel it's important, but it doesn't really come into the story at all, that they wanted to share about their character. That's like, oh, by the way.
Yeah, I think, like, with Rook and the fact that she is consistently kind of changing her features, the one thing that does stay constant from her true self through all the other personas is she does have tattoos. Some of them, you know, They are very like elvenish, but kind of with a little bit of a harder edge. Kind of some up one arm and across the chest and down the other arm, and possibly on her back too. Like I don't know that I've necessarily spoken about the tattoos and stuff, and I know it's not necessarily on the character art, but you know, you get into the nitty-gritty at that point. But yeah, like I think that's one thing that with her, regardless, like they stay mostly the same, whether or not they're super visible or not, but they stay mostly the same.
There is a reason why Eldaris is wearing robes and cloaks and is not showing a lot of skin. And it's not just to hide his arm. Eldaris is much like, in a much different way than Butcher and Rook, Eldaris' story is on his skin. And if and when we get to an area where Eldaris has to start, stripping, which, by the way, I fully expect silver credits to be donated into my account, should that be the case.
Challenge accepted.
On it.
You will see just how you will see what basically happened, and it's a reason for a lot of his insecurity about meeting people and living his life. It's, hey, look at here are constant reminders of where you came from. How could you fit? How could you be a part of the team, basically? So more stuff to explore, I think, as we dive deeper.
I think for Woodrow, the thing that we haven't seen much of in campaign yet is a lot of the attachment to Dora, or any of the backstory stuff that feeds into that. But with the Steel Defender form coming, I think that will start being on display a little bit more. But this question kind of had me laughing at first because Spencer and I were talking earlier about make an assumption about my character. And he made one about Woodrow that I hate. I love it. I don't know. I'm probably going to adopt it. I apparently smell like aftershave. Y'all have never seen me clean shaven. Just pat it on like it's cologne or something. Like,
I love that. Such an old man. It's that
it's probably
God.
Brute.
What is that one brand?
Brute.
No,
Aquavelva.
There was another one.
Aquavelva, something like that.
Oh, I can't remember the name. It had like a little mountainscape on it. It's the stuff my dad used.
Honestly, I thought that it would be so funny to do that, though. Like, everyone just, hey, we know who the characters are. I feel like we're all comfortable enough, not only with our own, but each other. If everybody just, writes one thing that they've noticed about the other characters, like I said for Woodrow, like, he never is shaven, but he always smells like aftershave. Just little things like that. Like, I made one for my own, another part aside from the tattoos, because obviously, military man's gonna have tattoos. The shirt that Butcher wears underneath his jacket and his small chest area, it's a faded old olive drab Hawaiian shirt. Like, it is genuinely has the flowers on it and everything, but no one really seems to notice because it's olive green.
Yeah.
And you can mistake it for camouflage at a distance, but anyone who's sat next to him has looked at it once and been like, "What the fuck?"
Butcher definitely has somewhere in his apartment a tiki somewhere.
Yeah.
That he adores.
All right, that's going in. Writing it down.
That he adores.
I have an assumption about Rook's character. I thought about this earlier.
Okay.
When you go on stage, whatever you do to change your appearance, you also add an inch in height.
I heard
I think
Beyonce
almost
does that.
except I think she shortens herself down.
Really?
I think she gets a little shorter so she can wear higher boots.
Okay, just compensate with extra boots.
Yeah.
I got you.
She's heard that, like, the most popular artists and stuff are those ones that are like pocket size. So she's like, well, I can't do a whole lot, but I can give an inch. But shit, my boots.
That tracks. Okay, I was close then. I was close.
Yes.
Need an assumption about Eldaris.
I had one with the one we were talking about earlier for Eldaris.
What one was that? Oh, I can't wait for this one.
It's simple. He's lactose intolerant, but refuses to admit it.
I was gonna say he doesn't season his food.
Oh no, that's worse.
It's getting worse.
Okay.
I think I would just like broad brush that into a sensitive stomach.
I could see that having Eldaris having a very sensitive stomach.
That's why I went from all the booze with the Ubikari to nothing but tea and water.
Yeah. It fucked you up a little bit.
Yeah, and funny, like you saw him drink for the first, like he's fine. Like this is water. I've done this too many times. My body has. It's like I've taken so many poisons. It doesn't affect me anymore. That's kind of what he is. He's just getting back to it. I like that though.
Which means you haven't been sober long.
We started this campaign. He was a level 1. He was the level 1 cleric. So he just started going on the path. Really. So no, he has not. Ibukari left a mark. It's something Eldaris is constantly saying, and it's like all the his best friend is the party girl, basically. The rebel, the party girl. I want to make noise and overthrow the government, and I'm here for a good time. And her best friend is the apparent stick in the mud. Either opposites really do attract, or he wasn't always the stick in the mud. But let me see. Like I said, Butcher, my assumption would be he has a tiki somewhere that he absolutely adores. Woodrow has a soft spot for cute things. He just doesn't admit it. He's the kind of person who would walk into like a shop, scoff at one of the stuffed animals, but then kind of look back and be like, okay, it's really cute. And make a note like, how do I get Dora to shift like that when he's blue? Ironically for Rook, I think the assumption Eldaris has about Rook is that.
Hi.
Hello.
We're getting extra cameos tonight.
Woo!
Oh man,
I got a puzzle.
you got a puzzle? That's awesome.
Which apparently I have to help with after we're done.
Oh yeah. Well,
That's
duh.
That's what it's supposed to look like, but without the sticker. I know it's upside down to you guys.
It's very cool.
Oh,
Those- Are those unicorns?
There go the pieces.
There's 100 pieces.
got some.
Not anymore.
I think for Rook, she's a lot more girly than she lets on. Like, here's the punk rocker with the motorcycle. It's like there's an underside that likes, the stereotypical dresses. I could be dead wrong, but
I would go ahead and say that no, because part of like Rook is that was what her mom wanted for her, and she just 180'd against that as hard as she possibly could.
I have one that I think you might like for Rook. So I have a feeling that, like, yes, you had the bad connection with your mother, but she still tried to, like, force you into, like, a more classical instrument like piano. And so you didn't get, like, an instructor with guitar. You looked up videos. And so your first ever crush was this Furbolg, just big dude with this really weird voice who taught you how to play guitar over these videos.
And he was really good at a metal version of the opening for Marine Lunar.
Yeah, but it was just some like scraggly Furbolg who you now just like associate with your memories of learning to play guitar.
Had that kind of like scraggly goatee thing going on, and
100%.
Yeah, spiked up hair.
Because
to this day, it affects you. Like,
he
you're
looked like
embarrassed
my first boyfriend.
Yeah, oddly enough, nobody named connected.
Oh, I think we nailed that one.
I'm explaining right now. Shit.
Got it. Nailed it. All right. Well, I got my tiki torch. Anybody else have any fun little tidbits they want to add to make Butcher a little bit more depth of character?
Yeah, you took that tiki torch off of a body.
I think it's just like a little carved tiki.
Nope.
Nope. It down. Looted off of victim.
I think Butcher caps off every kind of winning fight with the most absolutely girliest drink possible. He tries to act like he's doing it like for the effect of it, but he actually just really loves the fruity, sugary taste.
We have already established Butcher loves fruity drinks.
Yeah.
That was a session 130 minutes in. Butcher
I'm talking about like not just fruity. I'm talking about like the girly with the sparkles swirling in it. You know.
Yeah, like... no, that was it. Didn't the first drink I bought in this campaign have sparklers coming out of it?
Yes,
it had sparklers coming out of it, but I'm talking about like glitter inside of it.
Oh hell yeah!
Pop rocks, like all of the weird shit.
We'll get there.
Butcher just reminds me, in general, of the neighborhood dad at the grill, clicking the tongs with the fruity drink, the Hawaiian shirt, except the fact that he can rip your head off in 20 seconds.
My favorite thing about him is that, like, for the most part, like, when it's not combat or like a fight or a serious situation, like, I've made it pretty clear. Butcher is one of the most relaxed, have a good time people that there is there. Because the whole retirement aspect, like, he can't take anything seriously. Even a fight, like, if you were to hear the internal monologue, more often than not, it's like, there's music playing. Like, it's literally like, this is a game. This is what he does for fun.
Now, this isn't necessarily about the campaign or anything, but there's something that I usually like to do with my characters is if it was a movie or a TV show or whatever, what actor would play them?
Bruce Campbell. It's solid. Yeah, young Bruce Campbell, Army of Darkness. That is Butcher in, and then like he's just a couple feet taller.
Feet? Mm-hmm.
Nah, he's like, well, Butcher's what? Like, what did I write him down as? Like 6'9", 7 something.
Wow. Yeah.
I have to find my thing, but like he's a big boy.
Yeah, I was thinking David Harper would be a great Butcher.
David Harper. That's the
nowadays.
The guy. What's his name? What was he on?
Danny DeVito plays Woodrow. For sure.
I'm calling Michelle Rodriguez for Rook.
Nice.
Yeah. So the
Every
people that
character I love of hers is just a badass female.
hell yeah. The people I took inspiration for Butcher's like actual look though were like what's his name? The guy who played Negan.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and like just like a couple like those more the dad looks, you know, like some of like the Joel from The Last of Us. That sort of like
Pascal.
A little bit of Pedro Pascal. I imagine that he had
the dad.
Yeah, the dad vibes. But like I imagined he looked very much like the Negan look, where it's, you know, the slicked back hair with the salt and pepper and then the beard that comes around. But maybe a little bit more like oh god, what's it? The guy who plays Punisher in the TV show.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, like that sort of the broken nose and the very squared off sides of the head. Like I said, I think that very, very much the typical, like when you think, you know, badass mercenary, like you think of like 4 or 5 guys.
So I was thinking Zoe Del Saldana for Rogue.
Yeah, she's a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason Danny DeVito would work for Woodrow is because you wouldn't have to do any CGI for the height.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. A few Hobbit boxes, you're good to go.
However, I'm thinking, and I want to say that it's John Hurt, but I might have that name wrong.
The one of the doctors, right?
The War Doctor.
The War Doctor, yeah.
Then I probably do have the name wrong. In Game of Thrones, he was the like Sparrow or whatever.
The faceless man?
No. That was like Jaqen or something.
Yeah.
No, the head priest that Cersei. Say again.
The dude who's in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. He was in Pirates.
Yeah, he plays like the governor or something, like Emma Swan's dad. That's who you're talking about. So Elizabeth Swan, totally forgot about.
The one you're talking about, like the necromancer who towards the later.
Jonathan Pryce.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he would pull off the again that Baron von Munchausen kind of pointed goatee and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And for Eldaris, it has to be Chris Pratt.
See it?
Yeah.
Like Butcher's Bruce Campbell. I will never give anything past that. Michelle Rodriguez is a damn good pick for Rook, and I'm on board.
I always figured Eldaris looked like Stephen Merchant, that British comedian. You know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about.
Yep.
That's just what I imagine when I see Eldaris. Like,
see, I think with Eldaris, I'm having a hard time pulling a real person up in my head because I got stuck comparing him to Vega from Street Fighter 2. It's the ponytail.
Which is, by the way, is the reference I gave when I said here's what his hair is. I gave Vega.
Yeah.
As a side note, across many medias, Vega is one of my favorite characters. I definitely went Eldaris with the idea of he looks like a pretty boy. What's that about wish fulfillment? Everyone be quiet. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a fantasy game. That's what we're here for.
But yeah, in terms of the way I wish I portrayed him, I know that's not how. The hair would obviously need like a wig or some, and it's so hard because I just cannot see anyone pulling off the hair like that I've designed for him. I would say Cillian Murphy, just because of that. If you've seen him in both Inception, where he plays like the tycoon son, and in The Scarecrow in Batman Begins.
Okay.
I could 100% see Eldara as Cillian Murphy. That is such a great cast for like the way that you carry him is very much like there's moments of comedy, but it's like I could very much see the seriousness that Eldaris likes to carry himself with.
Well, and those serious moments, it's always quiet. So, is that or is that not Dude Buddy from Peaky Blinders also?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the lead.
He gets quiet, and that's when like everything focuses in. Like, so yeah, solid pick.
And I think the other thing that just reminds, it's just because Eldaris has the glasses that when he needs to, he just takes off. And if you've ever seen Batman Begins, when Scarecrow starts threatening people, he just takes the glasses off. Just like, I'm tired of this. It's time. So yeah. In terms of the dreamy, like I couldn't do the voice very well, so I kind of dropped it. I wanted to get like the dreamy kind of quality in his voice, a la Luna Lovegood in Harry Potter. That kind of, I'm far away from where we are right now, but I'm still here. I just couldn't do it.
That tone of voice that's just like you're in your own little world, but somehow it's still connected to reality, but just by the barest of tethers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That actress did that so well.
We've covered most of my questions. I have a couple of direct ones. One for Butcher. You beat Randy the Dame, famous cannibal gladiator. Do you expect to go on and into the pro gladiatorial games?
That's a great question. So, I mean, Butcher, we had that conversation. Me and Woodrow had that conversation about like something serious affected me during that. And I feel like, thinking in Butcher's mindset, he's aware of the fact that he can lose. He's going to fight until, like, tooth and nail until he is out for the count. I mean, that's the whole barbarian part of him. But I don't know that at the point in his life where he's at, he wants to put himself at risk when people at Randy's level are going to be his consistent fight when he knows he needed external help to beat her. We talked about it before, but like Butcher he's retired. Like he fought all his life and is now enjoying it. I don't think he wants to sign himself into a contract and lock himself down to getting his ass whipped for the next 10 to 15 months. I think that he's going to relinquish it back to Randy or do something along the lines of whatever happens in this winter bracket, maybe see Luffy Gloob get back up in the saddle as a true fighter he deserves to be. But I think he's going to be okay with picking the occasional fight and staying a local hero because of this new group that he's found. He has the opportunity for not just cage matches, but actual fights.
Yeah. I should have picked Glooby Glue for the fucking favorite NPC earlier.
God damn, he's my favorite. He's my favorite. I love him so much. I want a Gloopy Gloop t-shirt. I want a Gloopy Gloop action figure. That's what the tiki is of.
It's an action figure of Gloopy Gloop and tiki.
I killed a man with Gloopy Gloop tiki. I killed a man because he beat me on a bidding war. We fought for it.
Limited edition on eBay. Track him down.
It was a dark time. Even darker for the guy who wouldn't give it up.
About the fights also. How do you all feel about the NPC fights? Were they engaging or entertaining?
If my brain wasn't being invaded constantly, I would say yes. Jim the player likes the fights and enjoyed how you were describing them. It was just I was a little preoccupied.
That's fair.
I would definitely say they were solid performances from the NPCs, and we definitely got somebody else's money worth for that show.
I enjoyed.
There'll be more of it, so I'm just looking for ways I can improve and make sure that y'all are engaged with it and that it's entertaining for you.
Can I speak as a fighter?
Go ahead.
I think that I liked the arena, and I think that having the holodeck arena is super cool. I think that the limited space is extremely helpful for somebody who's a close range fighter and to make the fight last, or to make it last a good amount, because it only takes one round for us to be up in each other's faces. But it being basically a holodeck, where you can make any arena, I say either make a different either make different areas or something like that to give the advantage or take away the advantage from somebody. If you have a ranger type person fighting me, and we hop in and it's a forest, well, they can have a skulker or something ability, and then I can't find them in this. Or we're fighting the mech. Oh, well, now we're in this big open area that's almost like a broken down city. Well, they're going to have the advantage because they're going to have this climbing ability and acrobatics. I think that would be cool as a visual. Also, if you were able to, I know the maps are a ton of work for you to make, and I'm very glad we have them. But I think having the holodeck, it'd be cool to fight.
I get you. I would love to. Yeah.
So
I would love to be able to switch it out every time, but it is a lot of work.
When we were walking into that, in another game that I got to guest star in for George, there was an arena kind of fight like that. The arena itself was chained together, rocks floating over the astral sea kind of shit. So walking in, I was almost oh shit, George is going to do something. And then it was trees in the holodeck. I'm okay, cool.
We'll get to astral fighting. Okay. Anyone else thoughts on that?
Mine's probably the more unpopular opinion then. I don't necessarily, and this comes from being a player and being a DM. For me, it's not as engaging to hear two NPCs fighting it out. I want to know what happened, but unless it's a major hook or a major point, I think that it can become a little repetitive and a little kind of what does this have to do with us, to a point. If we're going there to specifically watch another set of fighters and there's something we're trying to glean or learn from them is one thing. And I think that was part of this, was Butcher getting to kind of hear how the other ones fight. But I also think that it steals a lot of screen time by trying to be too detailed. And like I said, it could be the unpopular opinion. I like to.
No, I'm 100%
there really wasn't a way
you.
to engage with that other than actually just my character is watching the fight, or my character is having a drink while she's watching the fight.
Yeah. I'm 100% with you. I've ran a whole campaign that was basically a ripoff of WWE. It was called GGE. That was it.
Nice.
Global Gladiator Entertainment. But it was it got pretty repetitive, and I ended up hating it. That part of it, anyway.
Yeah.
I think my question to that would be how, kind of asking for behind the screen info is like, how are you running it? Do you have, scripted out, these are going to do this? Are you rolling it in the middle of the game? Do you do some pre-rolls and just be like, okay, that's how it happened?
Or are you just making shit up?
A little bit of all of it.
That's how I do.
I mean, a little bit of all of it.
Yeah.
As someone with much more limited DM experience, I think if I were to do an arena night, I would either have scripted wins or go the step of rolling it all out earlier in the day and using that as the script.
I didn't even know who would be fighting who in the brackets.
I usually end up just rolling percentiles to see who's fighting who, what the outcome is, and that kind of thing. I give it like a best of 3 or something, and then go from there. Unless something suits better to the story, then I'll adjust. But yeah, it's hard sometimes to be running NPCs versus NPCs with no PC interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, best you had was Woodrow yelling, "Get him! Get him!"
I did like the Baroness interventions. I think that was a cool touch.
Okay. I mean, not all of the Gladiator games are just going to be fighting.
Yeah.
As they shouldn't be. But perhaps I can give those moments more breathing time, not necessarily between the NPCs' actions, but between their matches, for y'all to either talk about them or talk about something else that might interest you in it within the group. But I also wanted to try to get to a climactic fight point with Randy. I didn't know that she would fight Butcher so soon, but I'm so glad about it. And then also a climatic moment with the voice and all that.
Yeah, that had to be a hell of a juggle on your part, going back and forth between those two.
I've done so much worse. Like, anyone that's DM'd for a long enough time has handled way worse than that.
No, like 90% of mine has been the one shots that I do. That's about it.
That's fair. Other things I had that weren't necessarily covered were the Inspector Sergeant Ishta.
Yes! I love a good guest cameo.
Now he is with the Knights of Cyclonestrom, and he's looking into things that are close to the party. So my question was for everyone, how would your character feel about working with or against the authorities within the kingdom? That also comes into another question I had about the anti-feudal thing and if your characters were feeling any of that. But, I mean, I don't think any of you are going the anti-feudal route.
Not yet, at least. I don't think so.
Woodrow not directly. Kind of philosophically a little bit. But that's a long game for him.
Mm-hmm. And what about working with the police? How your characters feel about that? Or with the knights more specifically?
I think we all had a conversation after one of the games, and if not, then I was just talking to one of y'all, and I don't remember who, about whether or not, because he was asking about the double-headed snake crown, and we were trying to figure out who actually might have seen me take it.
Yeah. And that was a group conversation, and I don't think any of us did.
No.
And I
so with that in mind, there was, and I think, George, that I had asked you, or I had maybe, no, I went back and watched a replay, that the description we got for the crown was basically as a focus, not an item in itself that has a whole lot of power. So I've kind of got it on a back burner in my head. If Coolidge comes back, then I'll tell him, hey, look, don't worry about that. It's not a big deal on its own. And kind of like give him that little bit of intel so that he knows it's basically a dead lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to be seeing him again.
I think as far as Rook, like, she doesn't have a problem complying as long as it doesn't start to mess with any of her own ideals. Like, I think she's very, like, if it's going to serve our group or her, she'll help. If there's something in it to be gained, favor or information for information or something like that. But she's not necessarily gonna like at first I thought I was technically lying to the officer when Rook was like, no, I have no idea where it is. But then again, it's like, oh no, she really has no idea where it is because she thought she was protecting Woodrow. And so it's that thing of I'll be very helpful to a point, but there's going to be a point where I'm no longer going to comply.
Question to that. Woodrow's line on it is along the kind of feeling of this particular inspector seems to be on the up and up and not a piece of shit. Someone that's trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I would probably help her point in the right direction or whatever, as long as it doesn't actually step on my toes.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I actually contacted Axton about whether or not he had heard anything or if this guy was on a payroll or anything.
Yeah.
And I think the news back then, no, he's basically in the clear. He got fired because he was basically
Demoted.
unravel.
Well, not even demoted, really, is just shifted down to the worst precinct. Or
Mhm.
bastion.
Yeah.
And I think I told Woodrow, like, yeah, no, this dude is actually for real about the wanting to help thing.
Yeah, and that little bit of context to his character is what kind of led me to the idea of, like, I'll tell him not to worry about it because it's really not a big deal. It's not worth him getting his ass in more trouble if he's already, a stand-up dude.
Yeah. And couple of last things, last singular person question. Groupie. Woodrow has been recognized a couple of times.
A couple of times.
Well, okay, one very specific time and maybe some other times.
Oh, you motherfucker.
How's he, what are your thoughts on that?
He will absolutely bury that girl in the oil tank under his shop if he has to. To not get found where he is. He's going to try and set the kid straight. But if she turns out to be something that's going to blow his cover, as it were, because a little bit of this, I'm trying not to get spoilery on this one. The name that Woodrow goes by is not the one he had 300 years ago, and he doesn't need people looking for the old name. And he's definitely concerned that this chick is going to bring attention that's going to bite him in the ass.
Well, I definitely think in the next chapter there's going to be some more backstory. I think it might focus less maybe on Eldaris. It might focus more on some other people.
I just want to know when the wedding is.
I'm confused, and maybe if it's spoilers, just say spoilers. If it's I got it right, it's evil group who did not message me in my head when I was watching the fights has a bride in mind for me. Other person is like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not here for that. I have that right. Oh, Okay, great. I'm pretty sure whoever they're going to set me up with is not my type. I'm pretty sure that Eldaris wants to find a woman who understands what he's been through and can support him while also being okay that he is loving and supportive when he can be. And that will probably not happen in this campaign, and it's going to be fun.
I mean, we'll see eventually. So that brings me to my final questions. What do y'all want to explore with your characters in future chapters? I mean, obviously, fame is important to Rook. We're going to explore that, climbing the social ladder, cost, and rewards for doing so.
Oh, I think of fitting in for Butcher, and this isn't like I want to kill my character. I think Butcher being where he is, a good place for him would be like near the end, that sacrifice for people he cares about. I think that the whole point of developing the power that he's getting and growing is sort of like an old tiger getting one last fight to prove himself at the end. And I think that there isn't much for Butcher after he gets... Because he doesn't have a goal. He isn't striving for fame or fortune or, some lost family. Like, he has everything that he could want. I think the last thing for him is to, like, give what he has left. And I think that would be, like, obviously closer to the end, but I think a fitting end for him would be, like, Terminator thumbs up down in the, the vat, or, Baymax flying into the abyss. I think that there's a moment where Butcher seems to be the one who should really go for that impact at the end.
Well, you're
we'll
looking for a good day.
We'll definitely see, because it's going to be nigh impossible to kill you.
Sticking just to the length that I would expect out of the next chapter. Not quite the tail end of where Woodrow wants to go. World domination is exploring a little bit more of the relationship and inception of Dora, and getting some of the gear priorities that I kind of had in mind. So, like, with the money coming in, I want to get Butcher's Chainsword done. I've got one or two other things that I want to get built, and other than that, it's just Dora for a little while.
There's also another aspect of Rook that we haven't explored at all, really. And I look forward to getting into that.
Which one?
It starts with a V and ends with a rogue. yeah, I suspect that the next 2 chapters are going to probably set up everything, hopefully. And then y'all will make your decisions, and we'll see what happens. But I will say that I'm not trying to heavily focus any of the chapters on only one person, because I've learned you just don't do that. But I will say that we're leaning over towards the Rook and Woodrow side of the board for this next one.
Cool.
I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous.
I am happy to support my friends, considering how well they supported me.
Oh yeah, and your story's not done, and Butcher's story is just getting started too. So, even though he thinks it's the end, little does he know I have a plan of.
You're not allowed to retire, sir.
What was that? I didn't hear that part.
I'm also kind of looking forward to seeing Ibukari with all her senses about her.
I am looking forward to playing her when she's full on party girl rebel. Right,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It'll be a good time.
I'm also looking forward to playing Marcus.
So excited to see him. I'm so pumped.
Yeah. Captain Mensah's one that I am looking forward to also playing. But I don't know if any of them will ever beat Aramis.
Are you? What's going on?
I think Captain Mensah and Marcus are the only ones we haven't met.
Yeah.
And, the hole. We haven't gone to the hole yet either.
We've not gone to the hole. Yeah, the only thing that I really like, and it's the same thing always. It's just doing cool things and seeing cool stuff. I think it'd be cool because I've been doing it even now with like each of my level ups and stuff like that. I just flavor them as augmentations because I think that is probably the coolest way to go about the reasons that Butcher can do the things he does. And I think magic items are the same thing. Cool to do that and getting more cash on, even if it's just minor stuff, like the Helm of Smoking or whatever it is that, makes your eyes glow red and shit. Just stuff like that just seems so cool to put in as like an excuse to look awesome.
I love it.
Eldaris may
again cape of billowing.
Eldaris, in addition to maybe upgrading his prosthetic a little bit, may or may not want to buy cock right now because he's. What's up?
The only real augmentation that I feel like I need aside from the chainsword, that arcane propulsion arm that I used in the Vecna fight. I want to get that back so badly.
I had a question about Rook's cock. How fast is it?
She has modified it to be faster than probably legal limits allow for the most part, if there are any legal limits. It still has the ability to be modified more. She's not an expert, but she does know enough to make the tweaks and things to give it some extra oomph.
We'll say it can get up to like 160, 165.
Okay.
But there's very few roads in Basetown in the area around it that are long enough. It
corners real well, though. It's got good grip.
A lot of bad roads. I'm trying to figure out what we should call the levitating motorcycles. Lev bikes? That's too much, right?
The reason I was asking is because I've been trying to do the math and figure out. I'm not going to spoil it and give a full description of the Steel Defender form fedora here. However, built in such a way so that I can ride. And I was hoping that I might be able to get Dora fast enough to keep up with, so that we could ride down the street together. 160 is probably pushing it.
Floating bikes.
She'll slow down. It's cool.
I think I have an idea for how to name the floating bicocks. Locally oscillating negation of gravity, longcocks.
All right, I gotcha.
Oh, cannon!
So we've got heavy cocks, which are like semis and U-Hauls and multiple axles. We've got bicocks, we've got long cocks, and we've got the classic cock.
Is she still giving me the death stare?
I'm so proud. I'm so proud.
Oh,
Yep. Yes,
mad at
indeed,
us.
she is.
we're immature.
Jesters. I'm just. Yeah, but I'm just here.
All right, nerds.
I can't help that I have a resting bitch face. Jeez.
I can't help I giggle at dick jokes.
I make them. I don't generally giggle at them unless they're my own.
I did. I had one thing that we didn't. The vault skill challenge. We talked about it offline one time.
Mhm.
I was gonna see what y'all try to repeat y'all's thoughts or get your thoughts on it for the stream.
I think I've only got.
Like y'all had said that for the most part it was fun and it made everyone useful for it. You're 8-2 right now on it. I think.
Yeah, so
I think that sounds about right.
as a skill challenge, you mean?
Mm-hmm. Because without a doubt, skill challenges work best when they're placed within a combat. Like trying to undo some kind of magic runes, right, with arcana checks and stuff, while everyone's fighting off whatever it's powering, the golem or whatever.
I think going through the different layers was cool, and it was a good way to set up a challenge. I also like that we were able to, even after maybe failing a challenge, yank some scrap off and turn something to an advantage through that by repurposing the equipment. I definitely want to get back to it at some point.
I was going to say, like, those challenges are super fun, especially the safe one. And I know you didn't intend for it to be a thing, but I think it's cool that, like, through each of our successes, whether they be, like, a fail success or pure success, like, we're able to salvage into cool things. Like, we still got the grav gun, the grav woofer that we're working on. I got the net cannon, which is a genuinely really helpful piece of equipment. And, like, obviously, like, I just think it's fun to be able to truly interact with the world and be able to, like, take pieces of the things that we think are cool as shit and be like, I want this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that aspect of it when y'all go to the junkyard. Presuming that you do it to open quests, you don't have to go, of course.
I'll go anywhere where I can attach something to this metallic bod.
And a junkyard dungeon sounds perfect.
Junkyard Dungeon is actually the name of my Metallica cover band.
Feel like that's more Nazareth.
Look, we got to stick with the times, all right, man. I got to do just like the locally known ones.
Can't say stick with the times and throw Metallica out there.
Fair.
No, ever since Stranger Things season 4 and the Master of Puppets thing, it's come back.
Yeah.
All right.
There was a different song than Running Up the Hill in that?
Yeah, though. Wait, do you not remember everyone was simping over that dude? What was his name? Eddie or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All I remember is Running Up That Hill. Killing it. Every single episode.
I'm
That's a
surprised
quote
you
from
missed
Simpsons.
Eddie. He was into some game or other. I don't remember what it was.
Fucking some nerd shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the horror parts of Stranger Things, but the fact that that weird game they play, I mean, it's too much.
Devil worship, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
Truth.
who would?
I mean, Jason
we wouldn't
just
like
makes
that.
the most sense in that whole movie, and they killed him. Or that show. Oh, spoilers. I'm sorry.
Holy shit! I didn't even know Barb died until last week.
I
don't
haven't.
watch it, so
I haven't seen it. I tried to watch one episode, and
I think I made it to 2 episodes, and I was just like, all right, I'm out.
I
My
watched the first season
attention
and was like, oh my god, that was actually pretty good. And then I didn't watch any more.
See, I'm legally obligated. I have a tattoo of a contract that Winona Ryder and I signed when we got married in the 90s. And I was a wee pup.
Do we have any more questions? Anything else that needs to be covered? Any offhand?
yes. I just thought of something. One thing that does need to be covered, and that is the links and the buttons need to be covered by everybody who's watching this.
They're so smart. They've already done that. They've already liked and subscribed and followed and done all the cool things.
This is what
They're
happens
even
when
going-
someone. I was just gonna say, this is what happens when someone doesn't do a spiel right and didn't actually introduce himself. Aside from, this is my channel, this is who I am. That's it.
I wasn't playing Woodrow tonight. I did not introduce Woodrow. I
But who
introduced
do
me.
you play? Who are we about to talk about for the next 3 hours?
Relevant.
Oh, okay.
I said I'm groupie. I said this is genre monger. I said these are everybody else. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
I
We are
nailed
the
it.
ensemble. Yes, buttons. If you haven't done it,
Yep.
Yep.
Hit the buttons.
Hit all the buttons. Give us a thumbs like. Ring the bell.
Buy some shirts.
and accept our secret mission of telling your friends and letting them see
Yeah.
this.
Share it
Definitely
around.
Do that one.
Also, check out Red's super awesome dice at Encounter Dice.
Yep. Buy some dice. Buy some shirts. See if you can schedule a day with him to play a game. And if not, go buy the game he wrote. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. It's a fun trip.
And in the meantime, thank y'all for hanging out with us. It was good to get to see everybody and chit-chat and talk about all the stuff that we've been through together. And I think that's all I got. All right, everybody together. Ready? Bye!
Bye. It'll never all be together. Never.
No,
Ever.
Yeah, no, it didn't work like that, but it's okay. It'll work better next time.
You didn't give us a countdown.
Oh, 3, 2,
Bye.